to YouTube. Just a second. Yeah, we are on YouTube. So let's start. Um, Good evening, YouTube. You are here for another English immersion. My name is Warley, and the topic of today is one word, infinite meanings. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the point of meanings and words and language in a general way. It's a interesting topic to discuss, not so easy one, but it's nice to discuss about this. So let's do. Let's do this. But before to start, I would like to explain a little bit about Talk and Talk and about this kind of conversation, so you that are watching us on YouTube can understand how this works. So in a general way, Talk and Talk is a conversation platform for beginner, intermediate, and advanced speakers. And the idea here is not to be a regular class. I'm not an English teacher or a language teacher at all, but I'm here to try to develop my English skill as well with you. And the idea is to develop your fluency and your confidence as an English speaker, okay? Besides English, we have other language like Spanish, French, Italian, Chinese, and we are gonna have German the next year, I guess. And you can see that on the Talk and Talk website. Okay. So with that in mind, I think we can start with the introductions, and after that, we take questions. Ianca, can you please introduce yourself for us?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Bianca. I am 28 years old. I'm living in São Roque with my mom, my brother, two dogs, and one cat. It's a big family in here. I am a demographer. I study population. Now I am working on an article about higher education. Which odds we have to have or do not have a higher education, thinking about gender and race. I'm stuck in this article, to be honest. I have to finish this, and I would like to leave this in 2025, but maybe I will take this until the next year, unfortunately. And I think it's that.
Amazing, amazing. And how about you, Beatriz? Can you please introduce yourself for us?
Good evening. I am Beatriz, and I have a degree in accounting, and I have MBAs in business management. I am from São Paulo, but I am living in Portugal, have 1 year, and I living with my husband and my daughter. In the moment, I don't work, but in my last job, I I went to financial manager here during almost 1 year. In Brazil, I was a administrative manager for 11 years.
Nice, nice, amazing. And what about you, Jardel?
Okay, I'm Jardel. I'm 28 and I work as data engineer in Brazil, but I have a bachelor degree in electric engineer and I really enjoy spend time with my wife, walking the dog and walk around the city. I live in Curitiba and we have so many places, so many beautiful places in Curitiba. And I really enjoy to go to that places and spend my time see or watch the nature, you know. That that is it. That's it about me.
Amazing, amazing. So about me, my name is Warley. I'm 25. I live in Recife, Pernambuco right now. I work with IT as well as a front-end developer, and I'm also an English and Spanish host here on Talk and Talk. I have started here on 2022, I believe, and nowadays I'm focused more on my English skills. Because of that, I'm a host here, and yeah, I like to learn about language. I like to learn about neuroscience and human behavior as well. And I like to run. I like to do outside activities. I like to play soccer. And yeah, I think that's all about me. So let's go to the question number one. Have you ever come across a word that had a completely different meaning depending on the context? I don't know, even in Portuguese or in English in this case. Let me know, Bianca, about you.
Yes, I saw some words like that. I can think about two maybe. Yesterday, I was in the Spanish immersion, and we were thinking how we could how we could say bolo de milho in English. In English, no, in Spanish, sorry. And in Spanish is pastel. Pastel doesn't make sense to me to speak pastel, to say pastel, to use this word to refer to bolo, to cake, to me it's different. So it was a stranger to do this. And another one in Spanish too is esquisito para nós para we can say esquisito para algo que we can say esquisito. It's difficult to do this, to say something that is strange. And in Spanish, we use this to refer to something that is good, for example, with high quality. So it was these two words that I can think about.
Yeah, that's interesting because Spanish has a lot of specific points related to Portuguese. For example, we call that falsos amigos. I don't know if we have a specific word for in English for that. I don't remember, but we have a lot of that in Spanish. As you said, the two ones. Another one is pelado, that in Portuguese it means that you are naked, but in Spanish it means that you don't have hair. You know, you are bald. I believe. So we have a lot of words like that in Spanish. I don't know if you have the same point in English related to Portuguese. I don't think so because English and Portuguese is not so similar like Spanish. But it's interesting because I had a lot of problems with this point when when I went to Argentina, because it's similar to Portuguese and you can say in a easy way these words, but the means is completely different, you know. So it's complicated. In some cases, it's complicated to say that. But it was two good examples. That's nice. And what about you, Jardel? Let me know.
Okay. I I don't I don't remember a specific word in Portuguese to say a difference in other language, but I can say about the word in English. I got the word then in English. We have different different I don't know different significance for that word in different contexts. It's strange for me because we can use then for uh, a continuous flow. For example, I start the meeting, then I get my cell phone, or we can use that word to compare the things. For example, Brazil is so big than Paraguay, for example, and that is an equal word for two things. I think we can get that words in Portuguese. We use words like that in Portuguese, but that is a curious word for me in English.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I remember another in English specifically that is date, that you can say about go to a date with someone, and you can say about a specific date in the calendar, you know, a calendar date. So it's another example I think in English, and actually in Portuguese we have a lot of that, right? Like manga, we can say about a lot of things, and it's the same word, you know. So it seems like funny for me sometimes, but it's so different the meanings in this context. So I don't know if people have problem with that, but in some cases maybe I don't know. That's nice. And what about you, Beatriz? Let me know.
I get here left, fast to leave, and direction left. But you talking, I remember one wrong. We we had with my grandmother with rapariga here. I don't talk more. My grandmother talked to one people in my neighborhood, and she said my grandmother uh, she have one rapariga, and my grandmother left to house in shock.
Do you live in Portugal right now?
Yes,
Yeah, I relate that, and I think it is another good example because Portuguese in Portugal and Portuguese in Brazil, we have a lot of points related to that. Some word here, it means another completely different thing in Portugal. And I don't know why this happened, but the specific word that you said, for example, it's a bad word here in Brazil, for example, in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese, and it's so common in Portugal,
yes,
and
it's simple.
yeah, exactly. I believe that people there use a lot that. So I don't know why this happened in this way, but I think we have a lot of other words and meanings related to that. But yeah, sometimes it's funny to learn about language in this way. I think we have a lot of differences and a lot of funny things related to that, and that's nice, in my opinion. That's amazing.
I have
So,
a point.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
have a
Go
point.
ahead.
I have one point about that word. I think the Brazilian people get that word and create a different mean or different significance for that. I think in the past, for example, usually the Brazilian people get the get some words or get Portugal useful Portugal words or something like that and create a different signif to create a joke for example. And if people get a specific word and create a joke or create a different signif about that word, and the people use that for 1 year or with a long time, that construct or that build a different signif for the word. I think, what do you think? I think that is a
Yeah,
possibility.
I pretty agree with that. I think in the first step we had this maybe the similar Portuguese compared to Portugal, and maybe in the how the years pass away. I don't think the year pass. I think we have like the differences related to people. Talking with different contexts, So maybe we have in the beginning they see the same meaning on this point, and after that we changed a lot the language, So for example, nowadays the Brazilian Portuguese and in the Portugal Portuguese is so different, It's pretty different, and I don't know, maybe it seems like another language, we can understand in a lot of things there, but it's a completely, not a completely, but it's so different compared to both languages, So that's nice. I believe that the language is made from the people. So because of that, I think that here in Brazil we develop a lot the language and we changed the language a lot because in this way, Even if you compare the difference between the cities, the regions, and the states, for example, I'm sure that the words that I say here in Recife is different from people from São Paulo or in the south of Brazil. So in the same country, we have difference, even in a country. So yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting definition about this. I believe. And related to that, I think we can go to the question number two. It's a good one. So let me know, Jardel. Why do you think one word can carry so many meanings? And do you think is it because of culture, context, or something else?
Okay, that is a good question. I
That's a good
need to
question, right?
think to the answer. I read in my mind again the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So many meanings. I don't remember as one exactly word now, but I think related that the key or not the key that is related a culture. I think because the culture construct or build the meanings for the word. I I can't answer that with more words now, but I think
You
that
can,
that's the culture.
I'm sorry, let me help you. I think you can say not just related to different meanings, you can say related to differences between the language in the countries or in all the world, you know? Do you think these differences related to the language and the meanings of the words and all this stuff uh and also about the difference that people say and talk in a general way because in different countries the people speak in different ways, you know. So do you think is that related more about culture, context specifically, or something else? Is that clear?
Yes, I understand. And there is about I
And
think
I'm sorry, and is it still a difficult question to answer? But I try to explain in other way, you
okay,
know. But it's
no
hard. It's hard.
problem.
I agree.
I think the culture reflect in all things in the words and like when we mind about the culture we can imagine a great things but the culture is little things or little ways to related the life of the people and the culture create different meanings for the word. For example, the culture, I think the word is a reflect about the culture. I don't know exactly because, for example, in Brazil we have different kinds of the word to say menino or menina. In Paraná, for example, uh, I use or we use the PA. That is so strange. That is so strange for other peoples. And I think that is related, like culture. I don't know exactly, but I think that.
Yeah, I think it's a good definition. As I said before, I think we have a lot of differences compared to regions and cities, for example. This point that you said about how to say a boy in Portuguese, we here in Brazil we have a lot of different ways to say that. And I don't know exactly how this uh, initiate, you know, how this begin, but I think it's pretty related to, in my opinion, obviously, I think it's pretty related to culture, you know, about some specific point of the people there. And as I said before, I think the language change with people. So the culture thing, I think the most important uh, point that changed the language. So yeah, in my opinion, it's the most important thing about this. I'm not an expert about language, about all these specific points. I'm not a researcher, but it's just my thoughts, I believe. Um, and what about you, Bianca? Let me know.
Yes, I agree with you guys. I believe that in the beginning, maybe the words have the same roots, stem from the same place, maybe, and with age, a lot of years, this thing became different, maybe because of this cultural change. Um, yeah, I think it's that. I just can remember, I could remember about other words like in the South, maybe we can say boy as guri também, too, not just piá. No Rio, we say pivete. So I remember this because now in the end of the year, the boys start to paint their hair as a loirinho pivete, you know. when they platinam their hair. And so, you know, loirinho pivete stem from boy meaning, but it's a hairstyle now. We produce this all of the time, I think, and we change this sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because here in Recife, for example, we use boy as an word to menino, for example. So it's so different if you compare to other places, you know. In Curitiba is one, in Rio it's another. I think is in São Paulo they use other slang or other word to that. So it's funny for me because we have the same country, you know. We have a big country, but we have the same country, but it's still different the ways that we say that we speak a lot of things. So that's a funny point about language. I don't know. And what about you, Beatriz? What do you think about this?
I don't know. It's so many meanings, each because of culture, but I think this fit, this adjustment, the culture, with my friends said.
Nice point. Um, actually, I was thinking here about the difference between the point of context and the point of culture, because in some ways, or in this specific way, I think context and culture is almost the same, you know. I don't know if you think about the difference in this point of the question related to what is different between context and culture on these um on this evolution of language. For me, it's quite of the same, you know, context and culture in this case. I don't know. What do you think, Jardel?
Yeah, I think that is very similar, very similar. You said about the similar, the
Yeah, for
context.
for me, it's quite of the same culture and context in this specific point, you know.
Yes, that's it. Because the in different place we have different context, and that context is related that local culture.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I think exactly the same. I think culture and context are different words and different meanings in almost every discussion, I believe. But in this point specific about language, I think it's quite of the same because they maybe the culture of the place of the people uh, apply a lot of things in the context of them, you know, or the opposite. So yeah, seems like the exactly same meaning for me, but yeah, I don't know. It's a so specific thing that I was thinking. I'm sorry. So let's go to the question number 3. Can you think of a word that means something positive in one situation but negative in another? And can you have an example about this? It's another difficult question, I believe. But what do you think, Bianca? I think you have one.
Yes, I could think in two words. As I said in the chat, boy, it means menino for you, but in here in São Paulo, it means playboy, that it's a rich boy. So in the countryside, usually we say aquele cara é um boy, sabe? Ah, ele é boy. Boy de a person a very rich person. And another one is to levar enquadro também. It's a funny one when police officers um, stop you in the street and see if you have something or drugs or guns or something. And sometimes it's not in a gentle way, but in this moment in here, we call enquadro. That is another thing sometimes seem from another part, another word, I think. And I don't know, there's a lot. Yeah.
Uh, in real, how do you say like when a police officer punch the guy or something like that on a enquadro, for example. Do you have a word to that?
I
Or
can't
can you
remember
remember?
now, but
Because
I
here
will.
here in Recife, we have a so specific word to that when it is not exactly the enquadro, is not specific this, but the context when you have an enquadro, I really don't know how to say that in English, but when the police officer the officer punch the guy, for example, or something like that, we say like baculejo. I don't know if you heard about that, but I know that's a so different word, but here in Recife it's so common. So because of that, I was asking you if you have maybe in Rio you have other word to that, but here in Recife we say like that. Here in Pernambuco, in a general way, I believe. So yeah, it's a interesting point about language. It's pretty different. But let me know about you, Jardel. What do you think about this question?
For thing. And to me, an important word or a funny word is banana, because in Portuguese you can use to different things. When you say, "Oh, that man is a banana," in Portuguese that have a significant or a funny significant. But I think in English we can get that significant. I think I don't know exactly, but in other hand, build if you get our Joyce, I don't know, Joyce of banana or not Joyce, or in Portuguese, batida of banana. I don't know in English that.
A shake, maybe, or
Yeah,
something like
shake.
that.
That is a banana shake is a good useful way to that word, but in the other context, it's so funny. I think that is a word.
Nice, nice, nice example. And what about you, Beatriz? Can you think about one?
In this sentence, uh, they they speak, they spoke. I I think it is baiano. Let's Ribaiano. Let's talk de baiano. It's different context in São Paulo have a difference because in São Paulo enjoy a lot with this person with slow, it's a relax. I think a decent sentence.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things related to that between the states, because, for example, here in Nordeste, in a general way, I think we say a lot about the Paulista in a general way related to all the people that live in this region, but Paulista is just the people from São Paulo. So we use that. I think the people from Sudeste, they talk a lot about I don't know if nowadays yet, but before in the years before, I think they use a lot about Paraíba to reference to people from Nordeste, for example, and Paraíba is just a state here. So whatever, it's a lot of interesting, not interesting actually, but curious points about this difference. I believe. Yeah, it's another good example. So. Uh, I think we can go to the question number 4. How do you decide what a word means in a specific moment? Do you rely on tone, body language, or something else? I don't know. Actually, I don't know exactly the point of this question that Pedro created, but I think when you say something in Portuguese or in English or in another language, that the word is so similar, uh, do you think that you differentiate the word and the phrase and the all the points related to the tone there, the tone that people are using on that, maybe or the body language, or I don't know, maybe other thing that you can think about this. What do you think, Beatriz? I will start with you.
I think the tone decided the way with talking, with understanding. I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. I believe that tone is pretty important when you think about when you are talking with people from another country, because I think in Brazil we talk like similar in a general way in the tone, but in different countries I think we use different tone. So it's more complicated to understand and maybe to deal with how people say things, speak things related to that maybe between the countries, I believe. But I don't know. Let me know about you, Ianka. What do you think?
I don't know, to me change a lot. Even even within Brazil, like the way that we speak. I don't know how Sudestinos speak because I live in here, I was born in here. But Nordestinos, to me, they are more personality in the word and the way that they speak. It's very interesting. In São Paulo, maybe we are more natural, not natural. We are more sometimes to me disrespectful sometimes. And in the South, I don't know because I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the experience to talk a lot with people from there. But to me, change a little bit, and I would consider the region first, and the tone too, as Beatriz said, the tone of the conversation or the region. But sometimes it seems that some region, the person are speaking naturally, but I see as an aggressive way, or it's difficult to interpret sometimes. Like I don't know if you see this, Beatriz, but it seems sometimes that Portugal people usually they are speaking naturally, but to me, a Brazilian person, it seems that they are fighting. I don't know, it's very different.
People in my neighbor generally, it's very amazing, great people. But in other things, I see, I passed one situation. If the tone the most aggressive, but is the the jeito of people. The most I see too, Portuguese and Portuguese argue, but don't argue. It's interesting, but I don't acclimated to this.
I
But
think that yeah.
they in general certain in they talked.
Yeah, they are so straight, right? So direct in
Yeah.
the way that they speak. I have one interesting example about this because maybe I heard about a guy from stand up, I think, and he was doing a joke related to this difference between Portuguese from Portugal and here in Brazil, and um he went to Portugal in a restaurant and they asked for the uh from the waiter a he said something like, do you have uh how can I say sal in English? I don't remember.
Salt.
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 Salt, yeah, salt. Exactly that. Thank you. Do you have salt? And the waiter answer, yeah, I have. And just that. And here in Brazil, we ask that. Yeah, it's something like a question related to can I have salt? It's some like a desire. But in Portugal, they are so straight. You ask me if we have in a restaurant, and I answer, yeah, I have, and that's it. And it's a funny point, but it's so different the way that people, and in a general way, he's not wrong, He's pretty right. I have, and that's it. But we have difference.
In the mass, the padre start almost time late.
Mm.
One mister talked if he born late too. And she talked he talked she if if it was quente, sorry,
Hot?
quentinho, hot the your mother because he born late.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's pretty interesting this difference in between the way that people speak and you can say that they are wrong, because it's just the culture, the way that they speak, and they are right in this specific point. It's just different, It's not we don't have the correct one and the wrong one in this point. I think it's just this difference, and it's funny, but it's a interesting point as well, I believe. Um, you all answered the question number four? Yeah, right?
I think
Or
I'm not.
you're not allowed, so I'm sorry. So go
No
ahead,
problem,
please.
no
Let me
problem.
know.
Sure thing. And I think about that question, I will be able this in the future use specific words to answer specific about specific things using the tone, body language. I like this in the Portuguese. Use that in the Portuguese. Use usually the people use I don't know, a polite Portuguese. In Brazil, we use a more comprehensive words to say all things I can say because usually the people in Portuguese when a people talk or Brazilian Portuguese the people use I don't know is a specific word about I can't remember now but I think I will try to do this in the future using the English, but today I use the words I know. I know the word and I use. But there is a problem in the depend on the context, the word can be a wrong or a bad word to say something for people.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking here, I have watched a video yesterday, I believe, about one guy from here, from Brazil, and he went to Argentina, and he was in the supermarket asking for a bag, and the way that he said this point in the Portuñol that we use in this context, it was like a bad word in Spanish that I will not say here right now, but I believe that in a specific point of Portuguese and Spanish, we have a lot of problems with that, and it's pretty complicated because sometimes you can say something that you want to say, you don't want to say, and it's maybe a bad word and it's bad for someone that you are saying that, So it's a sometimes it's funny when you talk about this, but sometimes it's complicated. You need to watch out what you are saying in some specific countries and some specific language as well, But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting point as well. Um, so I think we can jump to the question number six. It's a deep one, I believe, but it's a good one as well. Let's go for that. When you heard the word love, what comes to your mind? Do you think your understanding of it match others' perspectives? Do you think people think about the same thing related to this word? Or what do you think, Jadel?
Okay. I see that word in a post on LinkedIn. For example, the people write love for a post, for post in LinkedIn. And I mind about that, love. And I don't know. And I think that in that context, love means I like, I don't know, but she or no, but that people said someone love in the post. I don't know exactly the mind about for that using that specific use for the word.
Do you think in different countries they say this word or they think about this word in a different way?
Yes, or more useful way. For example, in Portuguese, usually the people use amei in Portuguese to say something, but in the more professional way, the people doesn't use that in Portuguese, for example. But I don't know in English. I think the people don't use, but in that post the people use.
Yeah, nice, nice. I also think that's related to culture, maybe, the point of love and the meaning that some countries and some people say to that. Maybe can change related to this, but I actually I'm not sure about this. I don't have examples specifically about this difference between countries, but yeah, maybe yeah, maybe yeah. And what about you, Beatriz? What do you think?
I agree with Jardel. The people normalize love with some things. I think people see love according to their own perspectives. But I hear the word love. If love, I think of care and taking care other of people.
Nice, nice. It's a good concept. Pretty great definition, actually. And what about you, Ian?
I think the word love, specific love in English, I think that most part of the Western countries, países ocidentais, make the relation between what means in English and what could means for them, because we are under this influential, I think, under the US influential. So I think that we all think in this word in English as the same meaning, maybe. And to each country, maybe this word can meaning other things when came with other word, maybe like self-love or romantic love, I don't know, but can change the meaning depends on the other words that can came with this one, maybe. But yeah, it's a difficult one, I don't know.
Yeah, I will search about that, but I pretty think that we have differences compared to countries, for example, and how people think about this. Compare it to the culture and this something in this specific context relate to that, I agree with that, but I don't have the knowledge about this to say, but I will research about that. So it's a good point. So I think we can go to the question number 7 right now. Do you think that having multiple meanings for a word creates more opportunities for connection or more chances for misunderstanding? What do you think, Bianca, about this?
Sorry, I had to answer one message in here. Which question, please?
The question number 7.
Do you think that having multiple meanings for a word creates more opportunities for connection or more chance? I think more chance for misunderstanding, because sometimes, as you said, manga. Manga can be a lot of things. Mangueira, for example, mangueira can be a tree of manga, or a mangueira to take a shower of mangueira, you know. So sometimes to me, just generate misunderstanding, but at the same time, it's beautiful because it's related to some kind of culture, regional culture. Sometimes thinking about Brazil, for example, I wouldn't like to have we have the Portuguese pattern, or the Portuguese, that the formal Portuguese, we have this, but I wouldn't like that everyone speaks the same Portuguese in the same way too. So generate some kind of misunderstanding, but that at the same time, I wouldn't like to make all of this a pattern for everyone. It's nice sometimes to have this kind of thing.
Yeah, I can think about this just in the point of it's curious and it's nice when you see about these different contexts and different meanings about words, you know. But I can't think about one so big positive point related to that. I just can think about misunderstanding, you know. I can't think about, wow, this is so interesting for that. It's a benefit, it's a positive point for that, you know. I know that curious is interesting when you think it's funny when you discuss about this, but in the most cases, I think we have more problems related to that, you know, misunderstood and all this stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a personal opinion on my experience. I don't know. But what do you think, Beatriz, about this?
I think it is both cases or help or have a problem because you know included who is learn the interpretation uh, can be one problem.
Yeah, definitely. I believe, as I said before, in Portuguese and Spanish, for example, we have a lot of problems related to that. On the example that you said about this word in Portugal, here in Brazil, we can have a lot of problems related to that if you say in different countries, you know. So maybe some uh, gesticles or some symbols that that you can do, for example, with your hand. In some countries, it's so complicated if you do that, and in others, no. So I think it's really a cultural and context thing, you know. So in my opinion, I can think in a general way about this misunderstood and this problem. So yeah, maybe it's more than that. I don't know. And what about you, Jardel? Let me know.
Okay. To me, in English, we can get opportunities to create more connections, or using the words in different contexts. I think in English is more easy to get the word and use in different contexts, but in Portuguese is more difficult. I I believe in that because in Portuguese, if you depend on the word, if you use and depend on the context, it sound really strange for the people, but depend because I have a more simple English. I don't know. I don't have big numbers of words in my vocabulary. That is a difficult. That is a difficult question to me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's not an easy question, and but I actually agree with you because, for example, I like English in a general way because English is a so straight language, you know, so direct language. If you compare, for example, with Portuguese, Spanish, and I don't know, French and Italian, English for me is so smart. The language is straight. You can say in some specific points, and that's it. You know, it's not easy, but it's simple. You know, it's more concise or something like that. So I think that can, I don't know. that can be important in some context and for some people, and maybe it's a positive point, but I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure about
Yeah,
that.
about that word like you can use to express yourself. I like
Yeah.
something, but you can
Hmm.
use to to compare two things. Like that
Hmm.
word, other word, then
Yeah.
you use different words to compare.
Yeah,
But
exactly
like,
that.
yeah, but that is a simple you said about the simple way in English. You don't need to create different words for different conjugation or time conjugation. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think actually I think Portuguese, Spanish, and all the grammar related to this language is so complicated, so maybe because of that we think about English is so simple or in this way. But yeah, I think it's nice. So a lot of things in English doesn't make sense for me, but yeah, that's all. Other uh in other immersion you can talk about this interesting point about language as well. But guys, I would like to send here on the chat the link of the survey. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions because we have other meeting on in 1 minute. But in this survey, you can say what did you think about the immersion. Give me some feedback for Pedro as well, and you can say you can actually suggest other topics that you would like to talk about as well. And I hope you enjoy the conversation, and I hope to see you on other immersions as well. Okay. Thank you, Jardel,
Okay.
Beatriz, Bianca. Bye bye. See ya.